All right, thank you everybody for joining us today. We'll be hosted here today by Michelle Lanter-Smith. Michelle, please take it away.
Thanks, John. Hey, welcome to our webinar this morning, Time and Attendance Technologies for Tracking the Mobile Workforce, presented by EPAY Systems. As John said, my name is Michelle Lanter-Smith. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at EPAY, and I'm thrilled to have you all join us. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to some of our EPAY customers on the line, and those of you that are just getting to know us, welcome. Also, I see that we might have some of our Sprint and Paychex friends out there. Again, welcome. And I'd like to really just start today with maybe giving you just a little bit of an overview of what EPAY is all about before we jump into our insights that we have to share with you on mobile technologies in the time and labor management space. So what are we going to talk about today? Today we'll have 45 minutes planned for you, and at the end we're going to have a Q&A where you can go into the question box and ask a question. You're welcome to ask questions throughout, but we would definitely get to all your questions at the end. And then what we're going to do, though, throughout the 45 minutes is first what we're going to do is we're going to talk about really why are businesses turning to mobile solutions. What are they thinking about? What are some of the trends out there? What are the statistics? What are they predicting where mobile technology will go? And then, of course, we'll move on to talking about some of the key benefits to mobile solutions as it applies to time and labor management, the subject that's near and dear to us. And then my favorite part, John is going to show you a live demo of our mobile solution so you can see it firsthand. Now, our mobile application, Blueforce Mobile, brings the convenience of a smartphone app to time and labor management. Blueforce Mobile is geared to companies with employees that are on the go, and it's available both for Android and iPhone devices, basically transforming them into mobile time clocks. But before we talk more about the mobile app in today's workforce, and specifically about EPAY solution, let me tell you briefly about us. EPAY is in the time and labor management business, and we specialize in dealing with companies that have complex and distributed labor, labor that is scattered across many different types of locations. Our organization understands all of these challenges. We were raised in this industry. And we understand and see the limitations a company that has employees scattered everywhere deals with as it relates to deploying new technology in the field, as well as managing and tracking its labor force and staying in compliance. Well, our web-based system, Blueforce, really drives two main benefits for our clients. First of all, we focus on helping them reduce their labor costs. And we see time and time again that we can reduce your labor costs by 5%. Just by better tracking. We also focus on compliancy. This is a big issue in a lot of industries, worrying about are people taking their meal breaks? Is there overtime being paid correctly? Are timesheets not being messed with, and are they accurate? So these are the type of compliancy things that we have built in right into our system. In a distributed labor environment, you get a lot of challenges. But this labor is your biggest, largest cost. You got complex payrolls, shift differentials, employees working one task in the morning and then a different job later in the afternoon, employees working on customer sites or moving from job to job. It's a hard animal to get your arms around and manage the time. And it can be very tough for most time and attendance systems. But it's not for us. Our uniquely flexible payroll engine can handle these complex union rules, state regs, not to mention your own complexities in the nature of your business. And what we're able to do is to gather your business requirements. Our system is configurable, configure it for you, and you're up and running very quickly with no extra added costs. Again, a lot of times solutions like this have a lot of upfront costs, and the implementation can be a nightmare. But that's where we specialize in, the configuration of our system so it's ready for you. It adapts to how you do your business. And then our implementation process. It's a process which we call Blue Speed, and it'll help get you up and running very quickly. No heavy lifting for you, and we can deploy your sites and get your time management in gear right away. So since 2001, EPAY has delivered innovative, efficient, and effective solutions to address our clients' critical time and labor management issues. Our client base is very diverse. You can see some of the pictures on the screen, from security to food service, hospitality, construction, healthcare, staffing, education. But again, there is one common thing. They have folks distributed across a lot of locations, and they have some pretty complex environments. You'll also see some of our clocks in pretty big retailers across the nation, the Home Depots, the Targets. You'll see it at public sporting venues and at airports. Again, like I said, one of the central themes we hear from our clients is that we can mirror their operating environment, and we can handle all the various payroll permutations to ensure the accuracy and compliancy that you need. Our flexibility is built right in. And if you look at the next slide, you'll just see kind of an overview of how it all works together. Basically, we have 4 different ways that data can come in. We have a patented biometric time clock with or without an integrated printer that will print pay stubs and other types of information. What's cool about this time clock of ours is it can act Wi-Fi or wireless or dial-up or LAN. So no matter where you're at, you can get the data through. We also, of course, have a PC base. We call it Web Punch, where you can gather the data in. We have integrated voice response, an IVR application, phone in, so people can just use a telephone line, and by using caller ID, we can track where they're calling from. And then what we're talking about today, at the very bottom of the screen there, the little smartphone, Blueforce Mobile, using a smartphone or a tablet. So all this data then comes into our engine. This time card data comes in. We apply the pay rules that we've set up and configured for you, and then it generates timesheets. And from there, it can naturally and automatically integrate right up into your payroll processor, whether it's in-house or you're using a Paychex or an ADP or what have you. And we can also integrate with your HR system, with your ERP system, what have you, your accounting system, so that it's seamless for you. We do this every day with all of our clients because we specialize in time and labor, and we're very good at that payroll engine and the collection of it. We have a lot of excellence there, but we also got to be really good at talking to other people, other applications. So we can do that, no problem. And then from there, the data from your payroll processor obviously is exported. We get involved in one other piece too. So of course you can do direct deposit. You can also cut checks. But we have a pay card. If you look at on the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that SP, that stands for Simply Paid. That's our pay card. And that allows you to pay your folks, maybe folks that are unbankable right now, but any folks, pay them with a pay card. It's a no-fees pay card with a lot of access, 50,000 ATMs across the nation, no cost to employers to have the program, and it's a no-fee card for your employees. And what's really pretty cool with our pay card right now is there is a 5% savings plan. So I don't know about you, but it's been a long time since I've been able to get 5% on my money. And there's a nice little savings plan on there where folks can move up to $5,000 in there and get 5% on their money. So that's just a high level of how we move data through and then how we get your people paid. All right, well, I'm ready to talk about Blueforce Mobile. So I'd like to introduce to you John Gaudiuso here. He's been a pioneer in the high-tech industry for 10 years. Schooled and trained as an electrical engineer, John has advanced his career working in product development in some of the most thriving technical companies. His technical expertise spans a number of technologies, from solar cells to RFID to now ERP and mobile systems. Time and labor management has been his focus for the past few years, working closely with EPAY's customers in the HR and payroll functions. Since mobile technologies, though, have come into play, he's really led our role there in mobile technologies and bringing the best technology forward to our clients. He's responsible for deploying ePay's mobile solutions to our customers, and he's demonstrating day in and day out ePay's innovation in this area. So welcome, John. Thank you for joining with me today.
Hi, and thank you, Michelle, for the intro, and thank you everyone who's joined here. I'm actually very excited to share, my knowledge and information that I've gathered here. I know it's going to be extremely helpful in your planning stage when you're thinking about how to manage your workforce.
Yes, it is. So we live in a very highly mobile world, right, where smartphones and tablets have become the norm. In fact, I'm calling in today from a smartphone right now. But what are some of the most recent stats you've seen on mobile solutions? I hear about a lot of different statistics happening and trends. Can you share those with us?
Sure, and there's a lot of growth going around with mobile and smartphones. It's actually very interesting because when you think about it, the day and age that we're in right now, it's a digital age where information is literally at our fingertips whenever we want it, and this is something that's fairly new to us. Even though the internet's been around for close to 20, 30 years now, but it's really starting to be mobile, where I can get information whenever I want because it's literally right there in my hand in a mini computer, which is our smartphones, or in a go-between between a laptop and a smartphone. You have your tablets as well. I mean, think about it. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you wanted to, you're out to lunch and you're having a conversation with your coworkers, and you guys are, just talking about things, and you're asking yourself, some sort of bet that happens about who sold more records than than Guns N' Roses, did Rolling Stones or no? And you'd have to go back to your desk to look that information up, rather than now you can simply say, oh yeah, let me just jump on my phone here and check that information out. So we're literally in that age of getting that information as soon as we possibly can, instead of having to wait and do extensive research to get that information. Some stats that we can look at here, and this is from 2011, is that 63.2 million users had smartphones in actually 2010, whereas in 2011, 91.4 million in the U.S. had smartphones, and that's a 44% increase. And just an updated stat to that, the fourth quarter alone in 2012, there were over 200 million smartphones sold worldwide. So it's a large amount that's just going on here. And now one study done by ComScore showed that 7% of all U.S. web traffic came from smartphones and tablets, with 2/3 of that figure being attributed to smartphones. Some other interesting facts we have is that 75% of emails, 60% of Facebook posts, and 90% of all tweets come from mobile devices. Now if you're not investing in a mobile web page for your business, you should, because 1 in 8 web page views actually come from mobile devices. So you want to have that rich environment on that mobile device, so it's easy for the user to view from their smartphone or their tablet. Just another interesting stat here is that on average it takes 90 minutes for a user to respond to an email, and it takes 90 seconds to respond to a text. So again, these are all very interesting things, in just the world that we live in today. Is everything is here and now, rather than being a little bit patient and getting the information later. We expect a response quickly. Android has a large market share. They're actually over 50% of the market share, whereas Apple has about a 28% market share for smartphones. And there is a reason behind this. Android has a lot of smartphone manufacturers that are manufacturing a lot of different smartphones, whereas Apple only has one phone that they can sell and manufacture. Now there was the World Mobile Congress at the end of February here, and there were some interesting things that came out of that. The first is phablets. Now it's an interesting word. It's a combination of a phone and a tablet. Some manufacturers like Samsung are looking to merge the two because they feel there's a market for this, and they're going to push this with their Galaxy Note 8. Okay. There's been a lot more talk about using near-field communication and how to use it in practical life, and you know, they want to use this near-field communication, and all that is really RFID, so that if you go to a 7-Eleven, you pick up a pack of gum, and you want to pay for it, instead of pulling out your wallet, you just pull out your phone and swipe your phone, and you pay for that pack of gum from your smartphone rather than pulling out a credit card, swiping it, and all that. Now, Google is really pushing their Google Glass, which they basically want you to wear glasses so that you can interact with everything around you in a innovative and technological way where you can get information. I mean, think about it. Say you're walking through a mall and you have these Google Glass on. Maybe there's an ad going on or sale going on at this store. You can see that sale while you're walking through, or you can tell. You know, it's going to be a very interactive world that we live in. You know, in the near future. Now, another internet browser firm similar to Google has actually announced that they're going to throw their hat into the mobile arena with their mobile OS, and that's Firefox. And one rumor that came out as well is that Apple is looking to add a fingerprint scanner that's embedded on the phone itself. That's, you know, just under the touchscreen. They've actually bought a couple of companies that specialize in that. And finally, and this came out recently, Samsung is actually looking to, instead of you using your fingers to scroll through pages, they're actually going to use your eyes to actually scroll through through those pages, which is very interesting and very. So there's a lot of innovative ideas that are coming out of this, you know, the World Mobile Congress and through these companies, because they're pushing mobile as much as they can.
Yeah, that's some really interesting information, and things are just moving at exponential speed. It's no longer a nice linear pace, is it, anymore? Let's talk a little bit more about, though, who's using smartphones. We always have the concern, yeah, but my hourly employees, you know, they're just still using the dummy phones. Let's look at some stats. Do you have some stats here, John, that can talk about some of the demographics of who uses smartphones?
I do, and the next few slides will show all that information, because really, and we'll see this in a little bit here, but income, it doesn't matter. People are still, everyone is buying smartphones nowadays, and cell phone manufacturers are actually shying away from even making and manufacturing dummy phones now, because the market's so little. You know, almost everybody's got a Facebook account. Everybody's got email. You know, everybody's communicating in this mobile way now. So you're seeing a lot less of those dummy phones. And you can see from this stat here of how many users, you know, and how many users actually have a smartphone versus other phones. You can see that there's a large percentage that has smartphones rather than these dummy phones.
What about by age? When you look at different age groups, do we see a big difference across the ages?
You don't. You actually see the majority of have an increase of smartphone usage, you know, between the age groups, which is interesting because it doesn't matter which age group it is. All of them have a rising trend that they're starting to use smartphones. You can see that, you know, up to age 55 to 64, up to that group, there's been at least a 10% increase between 2011 and 2012. So, you know, and that trend just continues to show throughout all of these different stats.
Yes, if you look at ethnicity and income, same kind of trend, upward, right?
Exactly. And, you know, here we're looking at ethnicity again. The majority of people are using smartphones rather than dummy phones. And when we look at the income, again, it's all the same. It doesn't matter what your income is now, because, you know, people want to be connected to other users or other people around them. You know, they want to share their Facebook updates or jump on LinkedIn, maybe check fantasy football and actually do some work-related stuff as well, like look at their work email, read some reports on their phone or tablet, also do research. But all of these show that there's an increase in this. And another interesting note is that smartphones are actually outselling laptops now. That's a new stat that came out in December. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we now have some questions for those of you that are listening right now. We're going to put a polling question up.
So, and we want you guys to respond here. So, do you think the usage of smartphones by hourly laborers will increase, stay the same, or decrease over the next 2 years? Just go ahead and select your answer, and we'll close the poll here in 20, 30 seconds here. We really like to get your feedback on this because it's always interesting to see how other people see, what's going on in the world right now. So give it a few more seconds. Okay, let's go ahead and close the poll. All right, so we got 100% response saying that there's going to be an increase, and I completely agree with everybody here. So.
I think so. Hey, let's talk a little bit more now, though, about mobile and time and labor management. Why are businesses first, though, embracing mobile technology? What kinds of benefits are they seeing?
There's actually a lot of benefits that they're seeing. Here's a crazy thought, but employees actually want to be productive. They don't want to go to work and just do mundane stuff and then come home and feel like they haven't accomplished anything. When you give them that piece of technology and they can be more productive, they actually feel more accomplished when they leave work for the day, And there's another interesting phenomenon that's going on where these same employees, whether they're a salary employee, an hourly employee, they're willing to bring their own devices, their own smartphone, their own tablets into work to help them be more productive. One research from Juniper showed that 150 million employees worldwide bring their own device to work, and that number is actually expected to grow to 350 million by 2014. Now, there's other benefits from going mobile as well. The above graph was a survey done by XCube Lab. The largest factor for businesses moving forward with mobile is to increase efficiency. Giving your employees that real-time data at their fingertips actually allows them to make decisions more quickly. So you actually get more production from them by giving that information. And the other thing with this is that your smartphone, your tablet, it doesn't have to just be a time clock. You can use it for other things as well. You can use it as a inventory management. You can use it as viewing how efficient your production lines are, stuff like that. So and all that information is real time and at your fingertips because it's going to connect directly to your ERP system or any other system that you have.
Yeah. Well, this is good info to know. I just want to put a little commercial break in here. We will be passing out the slides of this presentation at the end and the conclusion. There's actually going to be a little survey at the end when you exit out. And so if you'd like a copy of the slides, just mark yes, and we'll send them to you. So just a little reminder there, because you might be thinking, man, some of this data is good. I could really use this to share with folks. So you can certainly get a copy of these slides. So, John, moving on, what do some of the HR folks, HR decision makers out there think about the future use of mobile technology? Do they agree with our audience on the phone today?
Yeah, they do agree. ADP actually conducted a survey that between large and mid-sized companies, and they both see about 40% of its employees using mobile technology for everyday work activities. And 50 users actually feel this number is going to continue to grow over the next couple of years. Why don't we do another polling question for our folks out there?
Sounds good. What do we got?
Well, why don't we see, what do you guys see as the biggest benefit of using mobile technology to track your employees' time? This is kind of a good segue for us here. So go ahead, take your time here. Again, we'll give you about 20, 30 seconds to record your answers, and then we'll share those results. Okay, we'll give you a few more seconds here. All right, we'll close it out right now, and let's view these results. So it looks like we have an even split here about automating time tracking and low-cost time collection devices. So very good.
Yeah. So what do you think, John? Why do you see, or what are some of the benefits that you see our clients getting from using our Blueforce Mobile solution when it comes to time and labor?
Well, there's a lot of benefits that come with it. You may have a mobile workforce that work at multiple locations, and a time clock just isn't feasible. You may only have 2 or 3 employees going to these locations, or a single employee. And a time clock doesn't make sense to put in these locations. But mobile application is again mobile, so you can walk around and use it wherever you want. So for those employees, it makes sense to utilize that. It's also an alternative to IVR as well, and a lower cost solution from that. Another big benefit by using mobile is that it automates the time tracking, but it also removes paper timesheets. So you can also remove manual timesheet entry into your payroll system, and also remove human error, and you can also possibly remove or reduce ghost payroll that may occur. The nice thing is that because you can track a GPS location when they clock in and out, you know exactly where they're clocking in and out from.
Yeah, those are some really good points. So Blueforce Mobile, we announced this last fall. What makes this solution that EPAY is now offering, why are our clients just loving it? I mean, I just see a lot of our new clients are using Blueforce Mobile continuously. They're ordering it so to be able to track their employees that are remote, moving around, and so forth.
Well, aside from it being available for Apple and Android, it's a native application that they download to their phone, and here's some key benefits that come behind it. So obviously the employee can clock in and out. What's nice is when they clock in and out, we capture those GPS coordinates. Again, I mentioned that earlier, but we also are able to view that information on Blueforce as well to see visually where they punched in from. Another nice feature is because we're in a mobile world, we want data now. As soon as they make that punch, and I have data services, that punch actually gets pushed to our servers, and that can be viewed online, and also, real-time alerts can be sent out for people that are late or don't show. Now, another key feature that we have is that we actually have the ability to, for the manager to actually punch employees in as he sees them. We call that group punch. What's nice about that is, again, the manager is actually punching those employees in, so you don't have to have everybody have a smartphone or tablet available to them. You can just have the manager or supervisor clock them in. Another feature that we just recently added is the ability to actually capture meal breaks as well. As you can see here, we've got a couple of options here to start a meal break and end a meal break. Okay.
Well, I think it's now time to show them.
Exactly. And what I've got here is I'm going to bring up my emulator. Now, what an employee does when they actually use mobile application, obviously they're going to download it from the Google Play Store or the Android Play Store, or the iTunes Store, apologize. Well, after they download it, they're going to need a login ID and password, and they can also remember their information, so they don't have to constantly enter in their login ID and password over and over again. But when they log in, and I'm going to log in as a manager, they're going to get all these different options, all right? Now, if you're just a regular employee, you're just going to have the options 1 through 4, to clock in, clock out, start your meal break, end your meal break. If you're a manager or supervisor, you'll have this option to group punch, okay? And I'll go into group punch and clock in, clock out, because really 1 through 4 are very similar. The one thing you're going to notice about the interface, it's actually very easy to use, very intuitive in how you use it. So let's say I'm going to clock in right now. All right, so I select 1, I clock in, and I apologize, sometimes my emulator runs a little slow here because it is taking up a lot of resources on my computer, but when we show this screen here, we're going to have 3 options to select here. we're going to have the location that I'm going to be clocking in and out of, which actually is filtered by the GPS coordinates. So if I'm actually closer to my home, that's the one that's going to show up first. If I'm closer to my headquarters, that's the one that's going to appear here first. So I don't have to select which location I'm going to punch in and out of. Now, I can also select which task or job I'm going to clock in and out of, and you can see that if I switch to a different location, it's going to have a different set of tasks available to me. Okay. Now, the other nice thing is I can have work orders that are associated with this as well. So I can actually select a work order from here, and now that'll be a part of my punch detail. Now, another nice thing is that I can actually enter in a free-form comment. You can enter a free-form comment on the clock in or the clock out, which is nice if you want to write a note to your manager and just say, hey, I noticed something over here, just want to let you know. The manager can actually view that information online when they actually view the punch. Okay. Now, the employee just goes ahead and says save. Once it's done saving and capturing the GPS coordinates, it will actually send that data to Blueforce, and the user will actually get a confirmation page here showing that they actually clocked in appropriately. Now you can see here the punch was added successfully, but it's going to need supervisor approval. That's because I have something set up in the system where I have a punch radius. And what that means is that I'm going to have an acceptable punch radius where my employees can punch in and out of. I can take it down to 1/10 of a mile. I can make it as large as 2 miles. What's nice about that is it can flag in the system right away so that a manager doesn't have to go in each punch and see where did the employee clock in and out of. Okay. So that's clocking in. Clocking out is very similar, so I won't go into that. And same with meal breaks as well. Now, when we look at the group punch, though, and again, this is for the manager use, when we look at it, it's going to be very similar to clocking in and clocking out. You're going to have the options to select which site, which again, it's going to show whichever's first, whatever site or location you're closest to. You'll select whether it's going to be a punch in or a punch out. And then again, select a task and a work order. And then we're going to go ahead and get an employee list. Okay. Now when we get the employee list, I'm going to have a list of employees that I can go ahead and clock in and out of. And what's nice here is that it also tells me when their last punch was. So this employee over here, their last punch was a clock in on October 31st, but I can go ahead and clock them in now. And then that, as soon as this is done, again, it'll post that punch directly to Blueforce, where it's viewable for the managers. Okay. And that's mobile. I mean, it's a very simple and easy tool to use. Okay. So I showed you mobile. Now let me show you Blueforce and how this information that we've just done translates into Blueforce. So when we log into Blueforce, we have something over here called time cards, which are the actual raw punches that come from any one of our data collection methods. And we have timesheets, and the timesheets are where the actual calculations occur from. So your shift differentials, your overtime pay, you're paying based off of different tasks, et cetera. That all happens in the timesheet engine. But you can make edits in the time cards and the timesheets. But since we're talking about mobile and we want to see how these punches look in the system, we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up the time card so we can see exactly what it looks like. So I made a punch earlier today from my office over here. You can see I punched in at 7:01 and I punched out at 8:48. And what's nice about the system is it comes up as color coordinated. So this tan color means it came from the mobile application. This blue means it came from our web punch. So it's very visual in how it looks. But now I can actually view the information. I can view the map and see where I actually punched in and out from. So you can see my punch A and punch B. This is my central point based off of geocoordinates, and I'll show you how to set up that as well when setting up mobile for Blueforce. But this is where my punch actually happened. So you can see I had one punch that was within that radius and one punch that was outside of that radius. Okay. Now another nice thing is you can see over here in the status, it's in red. that visually tells me that there's something wrong with this particular punch. In this case, it's just that I have a schedule that's published, but I wasn't scheduled to work today, so this came up in red. So it allows me to know that, you know, there's something fishy with this particular punch. But if it was outside of the punch radius and I had it set up in the site profile, then it would show up that I needed a approval pending over here. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's look at how to set up geocoordinates for a particular location. Now we can see here I've got my address here. I've got my state, my zip code, the city. We're going to take all that information from the site profile, and we have a tab down here called Mobile Configuration, and we'll go ahead and determine those geocoordinates. And now that determines, you know, we throw a call out to Google and gather those geocoordinates so that we can map them correctly when we're doing the comparison between where the employee punched in and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. We can also view on the map where it puts us. So you can see it's got me a little close to Silver Field, just slightly off. It's got me at the Field Museum. That's okay. Now, when we look over here, I can go ahead and set my punch radius from here. So like I said, I can set it to 1/10 of a mile. I can set it to 2 miles. What's nice is if I change this, my punch radius also changes on my map as well. Now, I also have the other option over here to block punches. And what a block punch means is in EPAY world, it just means that it's a unapproved punch that needs a manager's approval, and in order for it to be put into the timesheet as actual hours. And that's really the mobile application in conjunction with Blueforce and how it all works together.
Wow, that's a lot of great information, John, and I love the GPS coordinates and the map that comes up in Blueforce. You can actually see, you know, where people are punching in and out. I bet some of our listeners on the phone today might want to take some of this information and share it with colleagues they have. I just want to let you know we would be happy to set up a personal, customized demonstration just for your company where we can go into really understanding how you work and set up a demonstration that really helps to explain how Blueforce Mobile and our Blueforce time and labor management software could help you. So let's wrap up. We've got a few minutes here, and I do want to open up to questions. John, why don't you just wrap up one more time through some of the key highlights of Blueforce, or Blueforce Mobile, I should say.
Sure. So one of the key points here is that it's easy to use. As you saw in the demo, the screens are very easy to use, and we made it easy to use on purpose because we want the employees to actually use the application. We don't want them to be frustrated using it and say, this doesn't work, and I'm done with it, I'm not using it. So it's an easy interface. It also gives the user confirmation that they've actually punched in, so they're not guessing, well, did I punch in, did I not punch in, you know. So that instant feedback, letting them know that they punched in and giving them a time and date, helps them know that they're actually punched in. Now the other thing is that you can get real-time email and or text alerts for employees that are late or absent. And also if for whatever reason you need some help, we do have a help button on there that the employee can click on, and that'll take them directly to call into our support center. Now, the other thing with mobile is that we do capture the date, time, and the GPS coordinates of it. It's kind of hard to outsmart GPS. And the other nice thing about our application is we actually require the GPS services to be turned on. So the employee can't turn them off and try to punch in and punch out. We just don't allow it. That's kind of our safeguard from employees trying to outsmart the system. Now we can also track whether the punch is made outside of the authorized punch radius. And we also have a backup plan if the cell service is down. We do have an offline mode that can be incurred as well. Now, Blueforce Mobile can also adapt to fit your workforce. So You can configure it for a single employee, or you can have the manager clock in an entire group of employees. And you can also classify it by location, a task, and a work ticket as well, or a work order.
And this can be a very important feature, especially for the construction industry, which may not necessarily have their folks, individuals punching it out, but foremen on the job site are very used to tracking time for their crew. So that group punch is very critical and helpful in industries like construction. So why don't we open it up to questions? If you look in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, there's a bar, a GoToMeeting bar on the right, and at the bottom there's a question box. Please go ahead and type your questions there if you have any, and we will try to answer them.
Don't be shy. Okay, we're still waiting for any questions here. Okay, I guess we don't have any questions from our audience. Oh wait, yes we do. First question is, do we have the ability to enter a different rate than the employee's base rate? And the answer to that is yes, we can. So Vince, yes, we can definitely enter in a different rate depending on which task the employee works on. We can also apply shift differentials depending on which hours they work off of. So yeah, the answer is yes to that.
Any other questions out there?
Yes, we do. We have another one from Andrew asking, does your system, I apologize, we're having a little issue here trying to bring the question up. Just give me 1 second here as we try to. Does your system store in a database or go directly to an SAP? It goes directly to our databases, but that data can actually be transferred out and put into an ERP system through our data exchange client, which will automatically move the data from our system, and we can put it into a CSV file drop. So we drop it into a folder that can be picked up by your ERP system. Or we can actually create a staging database where you can actually pick up the information using web calls and pull it out of that staging database and pull it into your system as well.
Any other questions?
Yes, we do have another question. This is from Pat. It says, how configurable are the various time capture parameters? Is location the key for time entry? So the configurable options in terms for capturing this is the location. We base it off a location. Then we can also select a different task, and then we can also select a work order. So those are the three components of the punch that can be changed. And you can have as many work orders as you want, as many locations as you want, as many tasks as you want. All of that is configurable through Blueforce. Hopefully that answered your question, Pat.
I think we have time for one more.
Okay. All right, we actually got a couple here. So from Andrew, we've got, does the GPS on the phone stay on all the time? Doesn't that affect battery life? You are correct. If you have the GPS turned on all the time, it will drain your battery. We don't require you to have the GPS turned on all the time. We just need it on when they're actually punching in and out. So as soon as they're done, they can actually turn the GPS services off so that it doesn't drain their battery. Let's do one more. Can you capture time recording to projects? or is it by a work order? There's a couple ways you can handle that. One method is to use the work order to track a project. The other method is to actually use the location as the actual project, and that can be your what they're clocking in and out of, and you can actually set up budgets in the system against that particular location and or task if you want to. And that's how you could actually do some like budgeting purposes, see if you're on budget or not. Okay. And if you guys have, these are actually very good questions. And if you guys have any other questions, because we do want to be thoughtful of your time here, feel free to contact us, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. But before we go, we got just a couple more announcements.
Yeah. So I just want to tell you about some more education that we have coming up that may interest you, because there was a lot of good questions out there. John and I will be back next Thursday, a week from today, same place, same time. We're going to be doing a demonstration of Blueforce. Basically, he started to give you a glimpse today, but we're going to go through it a little bit more next week. It's again, just a 45-minute session. It's high level. If you want to have something that's more public, please feel free to join us. Just go to our website at epaysystems.com. Look for that little icon. You want to learn something, and click on it and register. However, again, as I said, if you're ready really more for a customized demonstration, we'd like to do that for you. And at the end, when you close out, there'll be a real quick survey. Just mark yes, and we'll get that set up for you. Now, also something that you really might want to join us for, and also pass on to your colleagues, we have a great partnership with Seyfarth Shaw. Seyfarth is the #1 wage and hour litigation firm in America. And they've partnered with us this year to bring education to our friends of EPAY and talk about what are some of the real wage and hour concerns that people are seeing and trends that are occurring, and how to avoid issues, and the Department of Labor or the state coming at your door and doing audits. So they're going to be talking about pitfalls and things that they're seeing, and just some great information. And it's not very often that you can listen to a lawyer for an hour and not get a bill. So it's free of charge. These are the sessions that are coming up. You can see we do have it by industry. There was one a couple of weeks ago that was a little bit more cross-industry. So if you don't see your industry here, you might want to go on the site and just request the recording. But we have construction coming up next week, next Wednesday, staffing and security industry on May 8th. Then any of you that work in California, you're definitely going to want to hear about California wage and hour issues, which, man, there's a lot of them out here. You have to watch it when you work in California. And then healthcare in September, and the hospitality industry in November. And of course, if there's any other information that you'd like to have, you all have my email. You've been getting my emails, so you can contact me at mlsmith@EPAY Systems, and I will work hard to try to get you that information, or we'll set up a special webinar to get you the knowledge that you need. So finally, just remember when you close out, there'll be a survey. We got a couple of really nice bonuses here for you. John, if you want to go to the next page, you'll see them. We have 2 free reports that we just published. One is how to find the best-of-breed time tracking system for a distributed workforce, and we just put this out. And then second, there's another bonus. It's just about John. John actually put a lot of his input into this report. This is time and labor management in a mobile workplace. So it really kind of sums up everything we've talked about today. It doesn't necessarily just talk about, it doesn't really talk about EPAY, but it talks about what you need to look for in a mobile solution, best to breed. So we thought that could be really helpful for you no matter where you end up going. Again, and then also just check off if you'd like today's slides. And also we encourage you to connect with us. We tweet out every day on Twitter at EPAY Systems. We have a Facebook page, and then we have a corporate page on LinkedIn. And of course, we do a monthly newsletter that we'd like to get out a lot of good info out, and you can go to our site and just register for the newsletter there. So it's been wonderful having you with us today. We've gone over by about 5 minutes. I hope you don't mind, but we were able to get to your questions. John, a big thank you goes to you for giving a wonderful demonstration and some great information.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you for hosting this.
You're welcome. And I'd like to thank all of you for joining us on the phone today. At EPAY, we would like to be your mobile solution time and labor management provider. And at EPAY, we're in time with you. So thank you. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.